Welcome to r/entitled parents.
Okay, so when I was 5 or 6, 1997, I rode the bus to and from school. Our bus driver was an older lady named Marge, and she was a super nice lady. She didn't have kids, so I think she thought of kids on her route as her makeshift grandkids. She got to know most of the kids that rode routinely and would give gifts on birthdays and special presents to some kids, not all, on Christmas or Hanukkah. Now, we all knew about the special presents. The older kids had told the younger kids, and it seemed like a general rule that some kids got small wrapped gifts, like the size of an iPhone box, nothing big, and the rest of us got candy canes. I don't remember exactly what year this event happened. I think I was maybe in the first grade, because I was very aware of the special gifts, and I know I had gotten a Barbie doll from her on my birthday, which landed just before school let out for summer break. Anyway, this happened just before Christmas break. Marge had already given special presents to the kids she always gave them to. It was after school, we were being dropped off at the bus stop. It was raining really hard, and I was already in a grumpy mood because the wind blew my umbrella inside out. Marge pulled up at the sidewalk, reminded us to put on our jackets and hoods, which caused her to take a few seconds to open the door. That's when this crazy entitled mother starts rapping her knuckles on the door, like really hard. Marge pulled that lever that opens the door, and even before it could open all the way, this M shoves the door open and stomps on and, according to my mom, shouts, "Why do you give presents to 4 kids and not my kids?" I honestly don't remember what this woman had said. I remember her yelling and all of us are silent and watching. My mom hears Marge say, "Excuse me?" This M begins on a tirade of calling Marge a predator and accusing her of nepotism, which made her look extremely uncomfortable. As my mom said, she looked like she was shocked in an odd way. The M then says, "Are you touching these kids? Is that it? You're a molester. She's a goddamn molester." That's when someone's father gets on and yanks that crazy bitch off. I remember seeing her vanish like a magic trick, and then looking at Marge, who was crying. My sweet old bus driver was openly weeping and sobbing. It was sad and uncomfortable because at my age I didn't know what to do, and I barely talked, so I didn't know what to say or if I should say anything to Marge. Marge allowed us to get off. I kept my head down as I passed her, feeling this achy feeling in my chest. Outside, the M was yelling that it wasn't fair that only 4 families riders that Marge knew, almost personally, got gifts for Christmas and her 2 kids only got a stupid fucking candy cane. I do remember that part. I remember thinking, lady, we all got candy canes, so what? My mom walked me home, and just as we turned the corner a cop car came up the street. His lights weren't on, he kinda like crept by, if that makes sense. My mom had shaken her head and said, "Can you believe that crazy bitch? Is she sick in the head?" The next week, last week of school, we had a sub-driver. We had him until February. Marge returned, and she seemed to have lost her chipperness, like, she didn't come off as open and sweet like before. She stopped giving gifts altogether, and she didn't get involved or ask us about our home lives or our families anymore either. She was my bus driver until I moved 3 years later. I wonder if she's still alive. That entitled mom didn't show up after that one time. I don't think I ever met her kids or knew who they even were. But yeah, that crazy woman kinda murdered my bus driver's spirit.
Quick backstory, my mother didn't raise me and her parents did. She's always chosen guys and partying over me and my siblings. This is why CPS has taken all 3 of her kids away. Once I became an adult, joined the military, she would hit me up every couple of months asking me to give her different sums of money. She works, but it's a BS job. Eventually, I asked her why doesn't she get a real job, and her response, "Because I would be miserable doing that." Here I got to talk shit to people and have fun. That's all good if you can pay your bills, but she can't. She's done the same thing to my sister, who was also in the military. Anyway, I talk to her roughly 3 or 4 times a year. Last week she was asking me when I finish school where I will be moving to. I told her I don't know. Her response was, "Well, wherever you go, you know I need a mother-in-law suite to stay at." My response was, "No, I don't." After that, I got bombarded with how my generation doesn't know anything about respect and how I wasn't raised properly. Mind you, I was raised by the same people as her. Also how my dad wanted an abortion, and if it wasn't for her I wouldn't be here. After all that I said thanks, but I'm still never going to have an in-law suite for you. Well, enjoy your fucking life, is the last thing she said before hanging up. I'm sure in a couple of months she'll call asking for something again. This story is about my mother. Yes, she is a mega Karen, and unfortunately I've had to put up with her most of my life. This happened when I was a teenager, around 15. We went out for dinner at a small local restaurant that did all-you-can-eat buffets. I should mention that my mother has long, thick and curly hair and she never ties it up, important for later. We got our dinner and sat down to eat and all was going well. I was surprised at how well my mom was doing. By this point she should have found something to complain about by now. And then it happened. She looked down at her plate and said, "OMG, look at this. There's a flipping hair in my food." Me, knowing exactly what she was doing, "Mom, that's your hair." Mom, no. That's not my hair. The way she was talking was obviously dramatized for effect, and she was beginning to get louder and drawing attention from the other diners. She continued to cause a scene and get more irritating, drawing more attention to herself and inadvertently, me. I wanted to sink into my chair from embarrassment. Not long after she started her fake tantrum, the waitress came over to see what the problem was. Waitress, how's it all going here? What seems to be the problem? Mom, there is a hair in my food. Waitress, okay? Mom, getting furious at the lack of care from the waitress, well then what are you going to do about it? We deserve to have our meals for free. This is horrible customer service. Waitress, with a smirk across her face, I'm sorry you're not satisfied with our food. Would you like to speak to the chef? Mom, looking smug that she thought she won, yes, I would. I was confused at this point, not understanding why the waitress didn't seem to care, even though I knew my mom was lying, but it soon became clear why. A few minutes later a man came out from the back of the store and walked right up to our table, and my mom's face went ghost white and her jaw dropped. The chef was bald. Not balding, but so bald that you could see your reflection on his shiny scalp. Chef, hi there, how are things this evening? What seems to be the problem? Mom, well, there's a hair in my food. Chef, smiling, I'm sorry to hear that, ma'am, but unless I've miraculously grown a full head of hair on my walk over to your table, you can see I am very much bald. And as I am the only chef working tonight, that is clearly not my hair. Mom. Chef, is that all for now? I need to get back to work. Without waiting for an answer, he turned and walked back to the kitchen, but not before I mouthed sorry to him as he left. I knew better than to say anything to my mom after this, but I had a smile on my face for the rest of the night. Thank you for watching, and if you liked the video then smash that like button. Please as well consider subscribing.